what did you think about this? On your podcast, I haven't heard it. I want to hear it. I'm also like a couple shows back on AEW because I've been traveling so much. But on your podcast, I heard that I saw that you had interviewed Donald Trump Jr., right?
Right.
Great get, by the way. And then
son of a wrestling Hall of Famer. True. You interviewed the son of a WWE Hall of Famer, right?
And so, go ahead.
Like you said, it was a great get,
right.
And how could I turn that down ever? Just from a journalistic standpoint and from a show business standpoint.
Okay. But let me throw you the question.
Guy.
Right, but let me throw you the question. What did you make of the fact that there were people that were actually so outraged that you had him on your show that they didn't want to listen to you again? What did you make of that?
Well, obviously it's such a polarizing name, and
right.
And I'm not a political pundit by any way, shape, or form. I don't really. I actually had to call Rich Ward from Fozzy and kind of get can you tell me some stuff I should ask him, because I just don't know. Right. Now, having said that,
Rich Ward from Fozzy would have all the questions.
Well, trust me, he's a political freak, man.
Right, yeah.
How about your beverage man? What was your beverage man's name?
Oh, Jack Slade.
Jack Slade. Yes.
Or as you called him, Jake Stevens.
Jake Stevens.
But my point is, yes, it blew my mind. I knew it was coming. Of course, I knew. As soon as I announced he was going to be on the show, half of America loves me, and the other half of America hates me. And like you said, a lot of people will never listen to your show again. We'll never listen to Fozzy. We'll never watch AEW. We're going to burn our Chris Jericho shirts. And it's like, that's a little extreme. If you don't like it, just don't listen. I'm sure there's a lot of guests that come on. I think more, if anything, it's almost the habit of America. It's like when people were booing John Cena just because he was John Cena. It was a habit. It was a thing to do.
Right.
So I think it's a very polarizing political climate with Trump being such a polarizing figure that automatically think, I have to have an opinion on this. No, you don't. You don't have to have an opinion at all. Just shut up if you don't like it, or shut up if you do like it. What's the difference? It's 1 week. I didn't know, is this show going to do a monster number? Is it going to be my biggest show ever? Or is it going to be my worst show ever, a total bomb? It did good, not great. It did good. It was an average show for me. So all the people that were bitching and complaining, it's not like the rating went down half or went up half. It stayed pretty much exactly the same as a good, strong show would. Is it one of my best shows? No, as far as ratings goes. Is it top 10? Not even close. Is it a great number that I'm proud of? Yes. But it just shows that, once again, even when people complain, the ones that said they weren't going to listen, they might have listened anyways, or somebody listened to it because, like I said, it did a good number either way.
Well, I've been saying all along when I did my heel stuff in Impact this past year, that it's just very simple, because I'm a heel. You know me. There's just a lot of these fans just do not like me, and I don't like the fans. But I said one of the easiest things to do is get heat with this fan base is just tweet a positive thing about Donald Trump. That gets you instant heat. There's just a as opposed, and that's like, it's not that hard to do. It's like, you being a heel, you probably know. Hey, I'll get Donald Trump Jr. the show. It's like, I'm a heel. The outcome is a positive EV. Whatever the expected value of having him on the show was definitely going to be positive for your character, if anything else. Because that's what they do.
People thought that I did it. What a brilliant heel move. That's the most heelish move you can ever do. And it's like, it's not the case. I did it because now I can put it on. Who else has been on your show? That's always the question in Hollywood. Who else has done it? Well, I got some names where people might go, wow, that's a pretty good get, like you said. Maybe we should give this show a try.
Yo, Chris, what do you think about Glenn's Loverboy headband? Can you see him on the video?
He's on the phone.
Okay.
No, he's on the phone.
No, I can't, but he used to wear one quite often. So you know me, man. Right back from the Art Bar days, I always appreciate a good Mike Reno headband.
Wait a minute. Wait. You remember that Art Bar liked him?
Yeah, he used to wear a headband, too, that he bought as a joke.
Yes.
He called it his Loverboy headband.
Right. He used to get a lot of heat from me and Eddie over that. And one last thing. I didn't know they were from Calgary.
Loverboy? Yeah, I think they're kind of Vancouver, Calgary based. Definitely Western Canada for sure.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Dion.
Let me ask you this. So you're a generational performer. Obviously, you see that, you come from a style of wrestling, and you like to have your type of match. You like to work the way you do. And you see, wrestling today, and you see a lot of the stuff the guys are doing, right? I know. I'm going to give you mine, and I want to know what yours are. I know you have to have some pet peeves about some of the work today, right? These are mine. And tell me if you feel the same way. The no selling the super kicks, the no selling the kicks to the head is getting too prevalent. When people are shooting a guy in and throwing clotheslines or throwing terrible looking missed clotheslines, and there's just way too many dive outside the ring where guys are just standing there waiting to catch a guy collectively over a course of a 2 to 3 hour wrestling show. There's just way too many. Those are my top 3 pet peeves. What are your pet peeves?
Well, I learned this actually when I went back in 2016 and I started working with Kevin Owens and Seth and Sammy and all those guys. The new trend at the time was repeat moves. I mean, Seth still does it quite a bit. He'll do one tope and then get back in the ring, do another tope and then get back in another tope. When I came through the system back in the day, that was ludicrous. So I learned something there, that the style is changing to where it's okay to do the walls of Jericho 2 or 3 times in a match or hit 2 or 3 code breakers if it fits. Now, to answer your question, the business always mutates and morphs and evolves. It's the way it is now. So are there things that bother me? Yes. Are there things that I realize that people like that bother me and I just have to go along with it because it's the way the business is? Yes. That's
what
why
are
I'm still...
What don't you like?
I will tell you.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you. And also, too, there's a lot of stuff that bothers me that I can't control because I'm not in the match. Now, when I can't control that is when those guys work with me. Right. We have had... I called a team meeting. I'll tell you one right now. The lack of tag and the lack of just normal tag team wrestling psychology drove me nuts to the point where that was one of the big knocks against our company in about week 3 or 4, if you remember. Now, Konnan will appreciate this. They started making excuses for the Lucha Brothers because, I'll be honest with you, tagging out, they're lazy. They don't care. They just walk in and out whenever they want, do whatever they want, and it's not right. It's not how you do it. And they would make up excuses where they would say, oh, it's Lucha Libre style. Huh, that's funny, because I worked in Mexico for 2 years, and guess how you make a tag in a Lucha Libre match? You stand in the corner, and you wait for a guy to touch you, and you walk in. That's Lucha Libre rules, a.k.a. tag team rules. So I called a meeting with the whole crew and said, you're burying the refs. If you don't have any rules, you don't get any heat. And it's killing our show because our honeymoon period is over, and now people are watching us, and they're being confused by the lack of rules. So that's changing slowly.
Let me tell you, just like Lucha evolves in the United States, it evolved in Mexico, and sometimes evolving means digressing. They very rarely tag in and out anymore in Mexico. They just fucking go in.
Okay. Ultimately, if you want to look at the root blame for this, the root blame of this absolutely lies with Konnan, because Konnan brought the luchadors into WCW and basically introduced Lucha Libre Wrestling into the States, and then you had a lot of these indie guys repeating Lucha Libre Wrestling, but not really sticking to the rules because they're green, and this is what has happened. It's Konnan's fault.
Bro, Chris, now
so
you were...
Let me just finish my statement here. Let me finish my statement before somebody clickbaits me.
Yeah.
Phoenix and Penta are amazing. They blow my mind every week. And once we had a couple talks with them, guess what they started doing? They started tagging. Because like you said, maybe they did just were working at that. Maybe it was a habit, or maybe nobody told them. Right. You've got a whole locker room of guys who have basically just worked indies their whole careers. Not that I'm not putting the Lucha Brothers in there, but they don't know little things. Like I've told guys, change your gear. Your gear looks Bush League. They come back with new gear, and I said, I can't believe how much better this is. Nobody's ever told them that stuff before. So once we told the guys to concentrate more on tagging in and out, they've been doing it, especially the Lucha Brothers as well. So everyone's learning together about what we're looking for in this company.
Jericho, let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind. One of the main things that I learned nowadays, and we take this for granted because we already know it, is we assume a lot of, and I'm not saying they don't know shit, but we just assume that a lot of wrestlers already know what they should do. And sometimes when you talk to them, you're like, bro, nobody told you this before?
Yeah.
How long have you been in the fucking business?
Let me give
you have to find you and me can't assume anymore that younger guys know what they're doing. You have to sometimes go out and ask them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Chris, do you remember this story? Listen, Chris, listen to this. Remember when you guys came for it was either it was a SmackDown at the Thomas and Mack Center before they started doing T-Mobile 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. And I'd come backstage. I had my Samoan friend that I worked with and his kids. We came backstage for the show, right? And we're sitting there waiting, like there was something going on. You guys were having a meeting. And you came back and you said, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh, we just did. And I hadn't seen you in a while, right? And you were telling me, he's like, this is the WWF or WWE. He said, we just had a meeting. I was like, about what? He goes, we had to teach these guys how to find the red light, how to find the hard camera.
Right.
Like, you're talking to your main roster crew on WWE and explaining them